While we are fortunate to live in an equal and fair society today, it was not always the case. Up until 1954, segregation in the school system was deemed constitutional. Brown versus the Board of Education was a turning point in the Supreme Court as it declared that state laws, which separated public schools for black and white children, unconstitutional.
The plaintiffs of the case were 13 Topeka parents on behalf of their children. They filed a class action suit against the Board of Education of the city of Topeka, Kansas, in the U.S. District Court. The named plaintiff was Oliver L. Brown, one of the parents. The lawsuit specifically demanded that the school district reverse the racial segregation policy. The issue wasn't necessarily what they were doing, but more what the district wasn't. What that means is that the district didn't require segregation in the schools, but they permitted it. The parents wanted to change that.
The year is 1954. The case is Brown versus the Board of Education. The issue is whether or not segregated schools is unconstitutional. We are here today to discuss Brown versus the Board of Education.
Afternoon. I am Supreme Court Justice Earl Warren, who will be the one who delivers the unanimous ruling on this case at the end, and I'm here to oversee. Brown, according to your report, your daughter Linda has to walk to school 6 blocks to the bus stop in order to get to Monroe Elementary, a mile and a half away because of segregated schools, while Summer Elementary, a white school, is blocks away from your house?
Yes, sir.
In addition to many other downfalls, you are suing the Board of Education to end the segregation?
Yes, sir. Marshall argued that segregation did lifelong damage to black children, undermining their self-esteem, and that African American children had been denied admission to schools attended by white children under laws requiring or permitting segregation according to race. This segregation that occurred was alleged to deprive the plaintiffs of the equal protection of the laws under the 14th Amendment.
It is in my belief that children of different races be treated equally, justly, correctly. With the segregation in school systems that we have now, none of that is possible. Segregation has a dramatic, harmful effect on the psychology of African American children. It is time that we make a change and require the school board to change their policy now.
The schools in our district are equal, and the separated schools are equal. Nevertheless, our opponents are arguing that the separation is hurting the children's self-esteem, but that is not really the case, as we will prove. Thank you. Throughout the case, both sides made valid arguments.
With education, this court has made segregation and inequality equivalent concepts. They have equal rating, equal footing, and if segregation thus necessarily imports inequality, it makes no great difference whether we say that the Negro is wronged because he is segregated or that he is wronged because he has received unequal treatment. It is the court's duty to enforce the 14th Amendment. The only way this court can decide this case in opposition to our position is that there must be some reason which gives the state the right to make the classification that they can make in regard to nothing else in regard to Negroes. And we submit the only way to arrive at that decision is to find that for some reason Negroes are inferior to other human beings. The first step in ending this segregation and racial inequality is siding with us against the Board of Education.
On behalf of the Board of Education, we have every right to claim that the separate schools for non-whites in Topeka are equal in every way. Buildings, the courses of studies offered, and the quality of teachers are completely comparable. In fact, because of some federal funds for Native Americans only applied at the non-white schools, some programs for minority children are actually better than those offered at the schools for whites. While races are segregated, we have in good faith created equal facilities. Furthermore, as we have stated before and will state again, discrimination by race does not in any way harm children.
While both sides made good arguments, Marshall's outstanding arguments, dedication, and logic far surpassed the Board of Education. As a result, the court ruled that the plaintiffs were being deprived of the equal protection of the laws guaranteed by the 14th Amendment. To separate them, the children in grade school and high schools, from others of similar age and qualifications solely because of their race generates a feeling of inferiority as to their status in the community that may affect their hearts and minds in a way unlikely to ever be undone. Case dismissed.
Throughout history, we can clearly see how many African Americans have done extraordinary work to help others escape from racial segregation, equality, and pain. However, Thurgood Marshall in particular was important through his refusal to quit, dedication to help others, and aspirations to leave a mark on the world. His work as a lawyer helped many, such as in Brown versus the Board of Education. That victory would later help to inspire the civil rights movement in the late 1950s and 1960s. Brown versus the Board of Education was only one of 32 Supreme Court cases Marshall worked on, and his contributions to the African American community in our world today will never be forgotten.